Let's get more with Laura Blumenfeld. She is a Middle East analyst and a senior fellow at Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies in Washington. Welcome to the program, Ms. Blumenfeld. I wanted to start by asking you that this is Antony Blinken's second trip to the region just in the last month. Do you think this effort has been any more successful so far?
Well, I would just say that 90% of diplomacy is showing up. So he's here, he's invested, skin in the game. He came primarily to deliver a message to the Israelis and to receive a message from the Arab states, right? The message to the Israelis was it's time for a humanitarian pause. And the message he was receiving, as your report showed from the Arab states, was it's time for a ceasefire. So in that respect, maybe the messages, didn't align. But one way that I do think is very successful is he not only showed up physically, but emotionally. There's passionate commitment he's demonstrating on the part of the Biden administration. When he walked out of the briefing in Israel, where he saw a videotape of some of the atrocities that were committed, and he looked visibly stunned, and he actually sighed before he could speak, because you could see that it just had taken his breath away. That was important for the Israelis. And then on the Palestinian side and the Arab side, when he talked about how hard it was for him to watch those images that we all just saw in your report, suffering children, he actually said, when I see Palestinian children suffering, I see my own children. In other words, it's a strong identification with both parties. And I think, the timing of this, he's not there necessarily to get results. He's there, like I said, to deliver a message. I would say it's the warnings phase, not the consequences phase. I think there are small victories, though, along the way. He did assure the region, the Arab region, that this is not about displacing the Gaza, that Palestinians will not be displaced permanently from their homes, because this is a real fear in the Arab region that we're looking at another Nakba, like happened, as they call it, in 1948, where Palestinians permanently lost their place.
That's an interesting point you raise about him showing diplomatic as well as emotional presence, but he's also facing accusations like the one made by Jordan that Israel, according to Jordan, is committing war crimes in Gaza. How does he still go forward with mediating in a situation like that?
Well, I think what he's trying to do is emphasize where we agree. And you could hear him say, here's where we agree. Okay, we agree that we need a humanitarian pause. We need to talk to the Israelis, and he did, about limiting or completely abolishing the attacks by settlers in the West Bank. We all agree on minimizing the conflict so it doesn't become a regional war. And he's talking about sustainable peace. I mean, this is the first time, in the last several weeks where you hear the Biden administration talking about a two-state solution again and again. So I think by emphasizing the commonalities, yes, they don't agree that right now is time for a ceasefire, but the way he framed it was by quoting one of Hamas's leaders, who said just the other day, we plan on launching October 7th again and again and again. So I think by using Hamas's own language against, to defend the idea of not calling for a ceasefire now, was his way of trying to meet, the Arab states, who are key partners, right, for any kind of peaceful resolution going forward, including between Israelis and Palestinians, to keep them on board. So I think that's been his strategy. Look, the Arab streets are boiling, and the Arab leaders have their own domestic constituencies to work with. Right. And, their brothers are dying in Gaza. There are Muslims and Arabs, and this is a situation where, blood is thicker than liquidity. If you're talking about regional economic prosperity, that may fall on deaf ears, at least for now.
Right. Thank you so much for that analysis. Middle East analyst Laura Blumenfeld.
Thank you.